Hi guys, welcome back to my channel Lush Foliage. So somebody had asked me a question about making a small garden setup with very affordable plants, because most of the plants that I show on my channel, mostly the philodendrons, they are quite expensive and very difficult to find in the local nursery. So somebody had asked me a question wherein they wanted to purchase plants that are readily available in the nursery. Apart from that, they are easy to care and they are not very expensive. So in that case, I would suggest is you can go with aglaonemas and Dieffenbergias. These are readily available in any of your local nurseries. Even a very small little local nursery will have these plants, like your aglaonemas, Dieffenbergias. So if you have a porch wherein you get a good amount of indirect bright light, because remember guys, these plants are variegated plants. They look absolutely beautiful, but they cannot be kept in a very less light, otherwise they will not perform really well. You need to have a good amount of indirect bright light. Now let's say you are a person who receives a good amount of indirect bright light, probably in the balcony or outside your door, then you can get some of these aglaonemas. They look absolutely beautiful. But now let's say that you are happy with the plants that you've purchased, but you're not happy with the color, because you can see all of them have a very monotone to it. All of them are green and variegated, but you want to add a little bit more of the color. So what you can do is you can add some more affordable plants like Collies. Even if you do not want to purchase, you can ask someone for the cutting and they can absolutely match in with your plants. And you can see with just one plant itself, it kind of changes the entire look. The second plant, what you can add is you can get these Royos, which again are very easily affordable. Again, you will find it in the local nursery. If you don't find it in the local nursery, if there is someone who can give you a cutting, you can get a cutting and you can kind of make this arrangement like this, and it's going to look absolutely beautiful. But again, indirect bright light is the key. You need to have a good amount of indirect bright light. But let's say you want some more reds, then of course you will get the aglaonema red lipstick, which again you will easily find in any local nursery. It is very affordable, not very expensive. A lot of times you might even get it for 50 or 60 rupees as well, so you can add that in your collection. You can see with this itself, the collection is looking very colorful. You can add some more Collies, because Collies tends to come in a lot of different colors, so you can even add another Collies. Again, very affordable, easily you can get it through cuttings as well, and it will perform really well. Now let's say that you want to be a little bit more experimental and you want to get a little bit more of the colors like pinks. Then you have your aglaonemas. You can add your aglaonemas, which are again very easy. We already have the green ones. Basically all of these plants would have the same requirements in terms of light, in terms of watering, so it's very easy to kind of make a small little setup. This will easily set in your balcony. Even if you have a very small balcony, these can easily kind of adjust, because these are very small. They tend to grow even in a 5 to 6 inch pot. You don't need like an 8 inch 10 inch pot. So in a very small location itself, you can see it starts looking absolutely beautiful. And according to your space, how much ever space you have, you can kind of mix them and make it colorful accordingly. But let's say that you want to increase your collection a little bit more. You're okay with the foliage plants, but you want a little bit of flowering plants. Then of course you can add your Brazilian draw-off, which is also called as the blue days. Again guys, indirect bright light is the same requirement for all of the plants. You can add in some flowering plants, which again you will find in any local nursery at a very cheap rate. A lot of people also get it for 30 rupees as well if you bargain very well. In my nursery I got it for 50 rupees. I didn't want to bargain. I usually do not prefer to bargain with the people from nursery, because they hardly make any margin on these plants. So I am always okay with whatever price they offer. This plant was actually, when I divided this plant, I got around 4 or 5 plants out of it. So 50 rupees, I got around 5 plants. I was able to kind of divide them from the root. So you can see it is very affordable. And the next plant, what you can even add is the Impatience. Now this is an absolutely beautiful flowering plant. Again, this plant you will find it readily in any of the local nursery, even a very small little nursery as well. And these are perennials. They tend to bloom throughout the year. They have this beautiful dark pink color. Again guys, there are more colors as well. You have orange, you have peach. I'm not very sure about the white one, but I've seen these three colors and they look absolutely beautiful. The color palette, you can see this with just a little bit of plants. You don't need to buy very expensive plants in order to make a very beautiful garden. Just these few flowering plants, a mix of variegated colored plants, you can completely change the look of your plants. Let's say that you do not want to make it look very green, you have too much of greens, then you can definitely add all these colors and make your garden very attractive. And trust me, anyone who's going to come to your house will definitely praise your garden if you're going to have a mix of colors, a mix of flowering plants. These flowering plants, coleus plants, aglaonemas, Dieffenbachia, impatiens, coleus, these are very affordable and you can easily find them. As I said, if you do not want to purchase them, you can ask for cuttings from your friends or relatives or neighbors and they easily start to grow. This was a cutting that I had recently got and you can see how perfect they start to grow. And you can see the color of this coleus plant. It looks absolutely beautiful. Unfortunately, they are so underrated, but they kind of give a very different look to your garden. So in this way, with a very less amount, I think probably if you're going to look at all of these plants, if you have a very good bargaining skill, you can definitely get them in a very less price and you can completely transform your garden. You can basically use them in your balcony. So as you can see, with a very minimal amount, you can definitely set up your garden. Because I do get questions from a lot of students. A lot of them are in their hostels. They want to grow plants, but they do not have a lot of money and they do not have a lot of space. Even a very small tiny balcony, maybe not all of them, probably half portion of this you can select. Probably you can just take 2 of the aglaonemas, 2 of the Dieffenbachia and 1 of the coleus and 2 of these flowering plants, and it's going to complete your garden. Now guys, these are just growing because they are still very small. So you can see in some time, if these plants will get very bushy, this place won't even be visible. The pots that you see over here, those will not be visible. You can see how this Dieffenbachia is growing. It's completely covered up the pot because a lot of times people are more into aesthetics and they don't want their pots to be visible. So your Dieffenbachia will completely cover up. You can see how this one has covered up. The pot is not going to be visible. So as and when it starts getting bushy, even those blind spots will also get covered up very easily and it is going to look absolutely beautiful. But let's say you still have some more space, then there is another plant also which you can add in your collection. So now as you can see how beautiful your garden looks with your flowering plants, even the geraniums as well, you will easily find it at a very low cost in the local nursery. They come in different colors. You have the reds, you have pinks, whites, even the blue ones. There is an ivy, geranium ivy as well, which gets blue flowers. So you can see how easily you can transform your garden with a very less amount of price. If you are a person who is now losing space because you don't have any more horizontal space, basically you are completely covered with the floor, you can go with options like a moss pole. So you can even find Rhaphidophora pertusa at a very reasonable price. Again, it's readily available in any local nursery. So if you are done with the space on ground, like let's say you don't have any more space to grow plants, you can use vertical poles and they will start to grow. You can even kind of create a boundary as well. Probably you can add another one on the opposite side, a pole, and then you can start growing it like that. So in that way you'll have a very beautiful small little compact garden without spending a lot of money. The coir pole, as I said, if you don't want to waste that much of money, you can easily make these poles at home. They will hardly cost you maybe 50 rupees including all the material. Stick, you can find any stick, even old tube light, any pole. If you have an old broken mop, you can use that as well, and this will hardly cost you maximum 50 rupees depending upon how large one you want to make. For this size of a pole has costed me probably 30 rupees or so, because I've used only 2 or 3 of the ropes, so it was very affordable. So you can see guys, in this way you can create a small little garden. I had a similar setup in my previous house wherein I was staying on the ground floor, and trust me, whenever people used to pass by and they used to see an arrangement like this, they used to literally ask me whether I sell them, because they used to think that it is a small homemade nursery and I tend to sell plants, which was not the case. But a lot of people used to come and ask me that whether I sell my plants, because you can see it kind of looks like a nursery, a small little nursery wherein you're planning to sell. Of course, that is not the whole idea. It's just to make a very beautiful little garden, and you can see how absolutely beautiful it looks with a very small amount of money. You can easily find this. Even tomorrow, let's say that you want to increase the collection, you don't have to purchase. You can again do propagation and cuttings, because the aglaonemas, the Dieffenbachia, the geraniums, even these flowering plants as well, they can get propagated via stem cuttings. Even the pertusa as well, you can do a stem cutting. And probably, let's say within 6 7 months, you can double this entire setup, and you can make, let's say that you have more space like this, you don't have to buy, you can again cut these off and make another setup like this. So you can see how easy it is. All of these plants can be propagated via stem cutting. So guys, that's all about it. I hope that you liked this video. If you did, please hit the like button, and if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Until then, take care, stay safe, and keep propagating.